Recent studies in early teens show that 1/3 of them play video games daily. 7% of them play for 30 hours a week. This means that millions of teenagers play rated M games. I want you to understand that violent video games can result in violent tendencies in teenagers. Studies show that violent video games have a result of aggressive behavior and a decrease in brain areas that include self-control, inhibitions, and attention. The games today are not like our parents before us. Enemies don't just go up in smoke when they're killed. Now it's much more realistic and graphic. Some games, such as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, make you kill innocents to advance in the game. There are some games that implement military technologies that shouldn't be in the hands of civilians. A major problem with violent video games is that teenagers try and reenact what they see. I want to start by telling you about some of the studies that show the effects of violent video games. Studies by the Indiana University School of Medicine show that kids that played violent video games for half an hour have an increase in emotional arousal and a decrease in brain areas that control self-control, inhibitions, and attention. This video on MSNBC shows those effects.
Violent video games could make kids more violent. Researchers at the Indiana University School of Medicine use state-of-the-art brain scanning technology to map emotional arousal in teen gamers. Kids who played the more violent games showed an increase in emotional activity and a decrease in self-control, inhibition, and attention. The study was conducted on 44 adolescents. Half were given Medal of Honor to play for 30 minutes, the others Need for Speed. The brain scans were taken right after gameplay. Teens who played the more violent Medal of Honor expressed the negative effects on the brain. The other group did not. For MSNBC.com, I'm Dara Brown.
On APA.org, it explains studies of video game violence by Karen Dill. She's the director of media psychology and has her PhD in psychology. One of her studies showed that college kids who admit to playing violent video games in their high school years engage in more aggressive behavior throughout their life. Now that I have showed you some of the studies, I want to give you an example of a game that I think has the greatest negative effect. The game that I believe completely crosses the line is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. On VentureBeat.com, it explains a scene that shows the killing of innocents. In this scene, you are a CIA operative that is infiltrating a Russian terrorist group. The scene is essential to the storyline and is a slaughter in an airport. You have the option to skip a potentially offensive scene, but you are not told what this scene is. The two options that you have are to join in or to not shoot anyone. You cannot stop the attack as it plays a large role in the advancement of the game. If you have never played a shooter game, you may think this is just like every other game. It isn't. In other games, you have the choice of being good or evil. You may be killing people or monsters, but it's all for the good of the country or to save the world. In this game, even if you choose to be a good guy, your hands do not come out unbloodied. Now that I've explained to you some of the studies and one of the games that I believe to have the most negative effect, I would like to show you that there is a game that is used to train military personnel in effective killing that is on the shelves for the public to buy. Doom is licensed by the U.S. military to train soldiers to kill effectively. Now you tell me if this should be available to the public. Going back to what I said about teenagers reenacting the games that they see, this causes a great risk. This risk was realized in 1999 at the Columbine shooting. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold both played the game Doom and implemented the strategies in real life. On Snopes.com/horrors, It says that Eric made a Doom game level online where there were 2 shooters with unlimited ammunition and extra weapons. He also made it so the other people in this game could not fight back. This picture is of one of Eric's game levels that shows an open area much like a cafeteria. There are barrels that can be shot to explode and kill the enemies. In the Columbine shooting, the 2 shooters placed bombs in the cafeteria to kill the students. This shows that they took their ideas from the game. All this, along with the studies that I have showed you, help to prove my point of violent tendencies in teenagers that play video games. The studies of video games and the effects also help. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is an example of one of the games that has a negative effect. Most importantly, I have shared with you a painful reminder of the effects that violent video games have on teenagers and their actions. I hope that you take my evidence. I hope that my evidence has convinced you to think twice about what video games you give to your children. Take into account the studies that I have showed you and the effects that they have on the brain. In my eyes, if games were less violent, there wouldn't be as much teenage crime. We will now see the other side of this debate. Thank you.